This is Bumper to Bumper, the car show. Drive in anxious and cruise out confident. With the best automotive information for your vehicle. And now your hosts, Matt Allen and Dave Riccio.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio, here along with Matt Allen, and together we're your KTAR car guys, heard every Saturday from 11 to noon. At Bumper Radio, we're helping you, the motoring public, have a better overall car repair experience. So if you got car questions, we've got car answers, so we encourage you to give us a call at 602-277-5827, 602-277-KTAR. Today on the Bumper to Bumper Roadmap, we're going to be addressing an email from bumpertobumperradio.com, open phones and text, and how the rules have changed in the auto repair shop in the last 20, 30 years. And I think about this, Matt, you could not take a technician from 30 years ago, put him in a time machine and bring him to today, and he would know anything that was going on in the shop.
He would flip his lid. He wouldn't know what to think. He probably wouldn't know where to start in some cases, and he'd be putting a whole bunch of parts in cars that didn't need to be replaced anymore.
You're like, you people are crazy, you know? I mean, even the fact you're working on these cars, you got to get a scanner out to check the brakes. You know, that's different, way different.
Oh, yeah.
They wouldn't. Well, I get into cars every now and then, and I got to sit there for a minute. It's a car I haven't been in yet, and I'm like, okay, how do I start this car?
Yeah, you look around, look for the button, what does what. You know, you don't know if you're going to hit the seat ejection or what the heck's going to happen. But
yeah, for sure. I get ejection for the passenger seat in all my cars.
You know, one of my favorite commercials. Yeah, we're getting off on tangents here, but it's like, you know, the ejection seat to get away, you know, from the passenger. There's a Snickers commercial or something. There's two guys, and he says, "Oh, I like mine with almonds." Maybe there's a guy from the Northeast. He says, "Almonds." And after a couple times back and forth, the driver just says, "Forget this." He just opens the door and falls out of the car. And that was his ejection seat. Like, I've had enough.
I'm done with you.
I'm out of here. So I'll get myself out of this madness. But speaking of madness, Dave, I mean, what we were talking about, I think you had something maybe triggered this, but we get cars today. I mean, when I grew up, started working in a gas station, when I was messing with cars, I mean, I started off an old Volkswagen.
What was the hourly rate when you started?
Oh, gosh, like $42 an hour maybe, if that.
Mm-hmm.
I very distinctly remember $48 an hour in 1988.
You know, the average in Tempe, where I work, is 120.
Yeah.
The average. Some are higher, some are lower. That's the average. That's 3 times that.
Right. Big time.
Okay.
So, but a lot of things have changed. And so, you know, working in the gas station environment, you see a lot of cars coming in and gosh, you were putting hoses on cars twice a year, you know, every couple of years. You take your, you know, kind of back then it was your rear-wheel drive American car, and maybe it didn't even matter on your, you know, your import or your foreign car, but you were getting hoses. You get them, you know, after maybe the first 2 years, 3, 4 years. Then it was every couple years because, you know, the upper radiator hose was going bad. You know, coolant used to have to flush it every 2 years, maybe 30,000 miles. Now it's going forever.
What about fuel filters? Some cars don't even have them.
Yeah, or they're built into the fuel tank. You never replace the fuel filter. So like you said, Dave, what you used to practice, or if you want to call yourself an automotive practitioner, what we used to do on cars 20, 30, 40 years ago, we're not doing today, but some people are. They're applying yesterday's rules to cars with today's technology and maybe over-servicing, but you always say, Dave, sometimes a service is better than no service. A bad service is better than no service at all. And people are getting a disservice by overbuying repairs.
Yeah, a bad service is worse than no service at all. You know, in some cases, and this is where this came from. This is hot on my topic. All right, I get this car in my shop. They've got a transmission problem. They just left the dealership, and the dealership did $2,200 worth of regular maintenance-y type repairs.
Off of no complaint.
No complaint and no issues.
Okay.
But they went in, they got a timing belt, and at 90,000 miles, justified. Timing belt was needed. But they got the transmission serviced. They got new upper and lower radiator hoses. And they actually left, and they drove away, and they're like, wow, the car's not right. And then they went back to the shop, and the dealership is where they went. They went back to the dealership, and the dealer did something, and they came back out and said, here's your keys. We left something unplugged. And sent them on their way, and their transmission didn't work the same, so they ended up at my shop. And I'm looking at this thing, and I'm test driving it with them and kind of interviewing about their little what had happened with the car and everything. And I opened the hood on this car. This car's a nice car. It's well taken care of, clean one owner, and it's got these new radiator hoses, an upper and lower hose. One's a Gates, which is a aftermarket brand, and then the other one was a Dayco, which is again an aftermarket brand. And I'm like, in some of those aftermarket hoses, you actually have to cut them, trim them up to make them fit more appropriately because they kind of don't fit right.
Well, yeah, like you'll see if you look one up, they'll say it's use the 27065 and cut at Mark C, because that hose can fit 2 other cars if it's not cut. So.
Well, they were at the dealership, and in the dealership for years has said, come to the dealership because we're the ones using the genuine parts. And here they left the dealership with aftermarket hoses that don't even fit right. And here's where I get a little steamy. The modern Asian car, I don't see these hoses going bad at 90,000 miles, and I don't even see them going bad at 150,000 miles. You got to start monitoring them when you start getting up there in the mileage. But they probably took off perfectly fine hoses that would have served these people for another 50, 60,000 miles. They took off the good hoses, and they put on the crap hoses. And they didn't even do a good job installing the crap hoses. So it made me mad.
I know you're all steam. I'm going to debate you a little bit. I don't think the hoses are crappy hoses. Dayco, and I don't use Dayco hoses, but Dayco is an original manufacturer for many OE cars. They're on there. You see their emblems. I mean, you take a GM belt, for example, it says right in there Dayco. Sometimes it's Gates. You take a Honda, that's a Bando belt. So there's different brands. So I agree. They probably got over-serviced. But my thing is, and I say it to my guys all the time, people need the radiator hoses? What about all the other 15 hoses? Why aren't we replacing those? If one of these might break, and we're just doing these as maintenance, what about the other 15 hoses? Well, a lot of people won't present that to the customer because 2 things. Number one, they don't have a technician in the shop that can do it. It's very time-consuming. I know those little teeny eccentric hoses that blow once in a while. But it's expensive. Man, you blow the estimate out. But
this particular dealership that I know of, I know of the dealership, and they don't hire people that know anything about cars to be service writers.
You're talking about salespeople, yeah.
They hire salespeople, exactly. And if a technician says, hey, put this on the car, a technician who's on what I call flat rate, so he's paid by the job, hey, put this on, recommend this to the customer. Okay. They don't know why. They actually don't even know what's under the hood. And so I feel like these people got sold, but it was a service writer and maybe the service writer didn't know, doesn't really know, what's the practice of the dealership, but they're selling. They're not looking out for their best interest, and I think that's what ticks me off.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of 2 models, I think, or not 2 models, but there's a couple different ways of servicing cars. There's businesses that are serving cars just to make money regardless of the outcome for the customer. And there's, the way I look at it is if you take care of the customer, the money will follow.
Well, yeah.
It's the way. If you look out for their best interest, it will work every time, and you don't have to do anything special. But if it's just one of these sales, let's sell, well, gosh, all of a sudden every car needs hoses at 80,000 miles when they're perfectly good till 120, 150,000 miles.
Well, yeah, and that's how they train some of the advisors, I suspect, is we need sales. It's off of numbers, and they're just pushing them. It sounds good. Hey, I was a technician at Porsche. I worked at a Porsche dealership. If you want to start getting into salesmen, this was before Porsches were water cooled. This was the air cooled days, 1994. Now we're talking about 911. It's not 944s and stuff that obviously have water. I was servicing a 911. That's an air-cooled engine. My service advisor came back to me so happy because not only did he sell all the stuff that I recommended on this car, but he sold a coolant flush. The car doesn't even have coolant. The guy bought it or sold it, and the customer bought it. Just ignorance is bliss by both of them.
I had a friend. He's still my friend. He said, where should I go to get my car serviced, Dave? I'm not coming all the way down there to see you. Is there anyone up by me? And I said, yeah, go over here. My friend works there. He'll take great care of you. So he started going there for years. Well, the place got sold out, and now he still goes in there for his maintenance, and he calls over to me, and he says, well, they're recommending me a transmission service and a power steering service and this service and that service. I said, that car has an electric power steering on it, it isn't the service there. He goes, yeah, no. He goes, I just paid for it.
Well, and let's talk about the hoses. That's it's
a whole other direction.
A whole other thing. Oh my goodness, it goes with that 911. But this is the kind of time of year going into summertime when you're going to be at the shop and they're going to say, oh, your cooling system. You should do the hose. You should do the thermostat. You should do the whatever. I try to tie these repairs in at my shop with another repair. For example, if we're doing your timing belt on your Toyota pickup, for example, or your 4Runner, we're going to take the radiator out because it's really easy. It makes the rest of the job easy. It's right there. Yeah, I'm going to recommend let's do the upper and lower hose because we have them off. But barring some other symptom, you really need to be talking to the shop and saying, why do you recommend I replace these hoses? For no reason. I mean, I don't have a symptom, so tell me more. Why do I need to do this? What's the benefit? And what other hoses? What about the other ones? What happens? Ask these questions and engage with the service advisor. I mean, as the owner and an advisor at times, I really like to help you understand, because what happens when you don't understand, there's where the bad review comes from, because we didn't there's some miscommunication, something didn't get told right or was misunderstood, maybe the car doesn't get fixed right, and then there's the pattern failures.
For sure. Well, the other thing that's changed a lot in the rules is batteries. My grandfather, he could milk a battery for years. I mean, he'd be like, oh, yeah, a little baking soda on the cable ends, you can change the water out, you can do this, you can do that. And he can make a battery last forever. You actually can't do that with a modern car, because if you got a weak battery, you've got 17 different computers plugged into it, and it's not going to work right. So the modern battery is different, and the car has to be treated differently. So if you got a weak battery, summer's just around the corner, you can choose. When you buy a battery, your car can choose for you. You're going to be all dressed up. You're going to have the tuxedo on, ready to go to that graduation, and your car's going to go quick, And Uber can bail you out. I mean, Uber's kind of like more common. That's easy. But still, it's just not, like, oh, man, I really want to be at my daughter's graduation, but I got a dead battery.
Yeah, but now you're in a jam, and you're buying the battery from the guy from the roadside service company, and those batteries are no good. And so what you want to do when you go into your shop, ask them, check my battery. There's proactive tests we can do, and ask for an interstate battery.
And so really, if you want to go to your daughter's graduation, I'm telling you right now, go down and get a battery from Interstate. We'll be right back. We're taking your phone calls at 602-277-5827. You listen to Matt and Dave on KTAR.
There is nothing more important than family. Hi, Kurt Rock here for Kurt's Auto Repair. I brought my nephew and general manager, Jeff Rock, to help spread the word.
Thanks, Pops. Yep, the more things change, the more they stay the same at Kurt's. Family owned and operated, our ASE Master Techs and family ethics have earned us a perfect Better Business Bureau record for over 30 years. Just east of I-17 at 22nd Avenue in Bell, or online at mycarhurts.com.
Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic, if your car hurts, take it to Kurt's.
Having an accident is stressful. Dealing with the repair process shouldn't be. Hi, Leo Petrozella for Campus Body Salon. The right to choose a repair facility is yours, not the insurance companies. We work with all insurance companies, but we work for you. Campus Body Salon, bumper-to-bumper radio approved and independently family-owned and operated since 1973. Check out our Cash for Your Crash program, where we pay you 10% off of your repair up to $1,000. Campus Body Salon, the best care in collision repair.
The Bunker to Bunker Golf Tournament season is back, and we invite you to join us for our very special season opening Cinco de Mayo event at the iconic Mountain Shadows Resort and Short Course. Saturday, May 5th, our famous two-man scramble returns to support Phoenix Children's Hospital with a fantastic day of breakfast, golf, and prizes, followed by a Cinco de Mayo pig roast party. There's even a bounce-back coupon for another golf round included, all for just $99. Space is limited, so grab your partner and register today at bunkergolf.com.
All righty, welcome back to Bumper Radio. I am Matt Allen. This other guy, I'm just looking at his T-shirt. It says moist. So the guy in the moist T-shirt is Dave Riccio. And oh boy, so we're talking. We opened up the show. By the way, 602-277-5827. That's how you get a hold of this show. You can call us, ask us questions about your car. It doesn't matter if it's the topic we're talking about. The topic that we talk about is whatever you want to talk about. So it doesn't matter. We open the show by talking about the rules have changed in auto repair. It's not like it was 40 years ago, and people are still giving 40-year-old advice. on maintenance, and it doesn't work anymore. I mean, it works, but it's not good. Yeah, you can over replace hoses. Put a new hose on every 50,000 miles. Well, you don't need it.
When did you see the first cabin air filter? What year did that come around? Because they weren't there in the 90s.
Late 90s, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know. Speaking of cabin air filters, you might hear my nose is a little plugged up. I'm having horrible allergies, all this wind and dust, and many of you are too. So last night when I got home, I just wanted to go in my bedroom and close the curtains, and my eyes are sensitive to light, get the air conditioner on, and hide. You can do that in your car, too. Our cars, Dave said, have a cabin air filter. It's a micro particulate filter. It's a pollen filter. It's whatever you want to call it, but it filters the interior air. So in allergy season this time of year, it may be a good idea to replace your cabin air filter. Now,
I pulled some cabin air filters out there.
They are
so bad.
Gnarly. And you're coming into air conditioning season, just do it proactively. Dave, how many times do you have a car come in, the air conditioner doesn't work? The only problem is there's no airflow because the filter's plugged up.
Mm-hmm.
And just think about all that junk that it's sucking air off the floor. If you want, some of these cabin air filters we look at, they are disgusting. Imagine if you took a microscope and looked at all the dog hair and dandruff and the fuzz off.
Patty from a cheeseburger from McDonald's,
just
and
junk. Who knows? So you can get a cabin air filter. You can get the charcoal regenerator, charcoal activated filter that helps with the perfumes and other things. And
sounds a little bit of
sneeze,
little bit of polonium carbide, but
a little bit maybe, but
Anyway.
Anyway,
let's go with Brian. He's got a 2010 Chrysler 300 Touring. How can we help you, Brian? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
All right, how you doing?
Great. Fantastic.
Good. So just to preface this real quick, about a month ago, I'm sitting at a stoplight, my car's in idle, and I get a real hard jolt that kind of shakes my vehicle. It was the only time it done it. So moving forward over the last month or so, it's gotten a little more severe. It only happens while I'm in idle, not while I'm driving. So I brought it into the shop. They ran a diagnostic and said I had a misfire in cylinder 3. I brought it in. They replaced the spark plugs. They said it's a good place to start. I've had the car about 4 years, and I've never replaced those. The jolt stopped for about a week and a half, and it has since come back more fierce. What is it that you think could be causing something like that?
When you say jolt, is it like you're sitting there and it feels like something hits you from behind a little bit?
Yeah, exactly. And there's no uniformity. Some lights it happens, other lights it doesn't, but it'll do it about 10 or 15 times real hard with a few seconds in between. It's not a consistent shake or rattle.
Did they say there was a misfire code? Was there any check engine lights?
No check engine light. I'm sure it popped up with a code. It'd be irrelevant to me just because I don't know how they go. But
me too.
Yeah, they said it. What did it say was misfire cylinder 3. Brought it to another shop just for a second opinion. Same thing. Mm-hmm. So I knew that something was going on there. Well, I called them back and they said, well, it could also be your coil. It could be,
right,
whatever it may be. But it seems like they're trying to get me back in.
Does it still have does it still have a misfire, or do we have the problem? Because they may have fixed a legitimate problem. It just wasn't your problem. Yeah, because a misfire will not cause a jolt as you described. But Dave,
okay.
I missed a little bit there. But this is a rear-wheel drive car. But this will repeatedly happen while you're sitting at a stop or on acceleration.
It does not happen during acceleration. Once I bring it past 1,000 RPMs, it stops.
But this, Dave, you don't think this is a symptom of a drive shaft releasing, binding up like the spline?
Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that. Or sometimes you get a downshift after the car's already been stopped, and you'll feel that. And so that's what I was wondering. But if you're not going to feel that multiple times, you may be sitting there and all of a sudden it makes a hard downshift down, ka-clunk. So, there's something going on there. But I think he did have a problem, and you did need the spark plugs. Probably not a bad idea. That car is 8 years old, so yeah, you were in spark plug time possibly. But I think that, and this is one of the things when you describe the issue to somebody, when you take it into the shop, because they may have done plugs on it. The other thing they may have done when they did the plugs was clear out all the adaptations. So whatever problem he had elsewhere disappeared for a week until the computer relearned its bad habits, and then we've got a problem again. So it's a little bit of a placebo thing because they did fix a problem, but we still have another problem.
They just fixed the wrong problem.
Correct.
And by listening to it, I really don't think the shop necessarily did anything wrong. Maybe they never verified the concern or the symptom that he was having. So
and that's one of the things that happens with mechanics. We just want to fix stuff. It's just in our genes. We're just going to do it. So the car comes in, we're driving it around. Oh man, this thing's misfiring. That's what we see. That's what we fix. That's not what you're complaining about.
Yeah.
So I see.
Kind of get the blinders on, so to speak.
Yeah, you get the blinders on. So I like whenever we've got people that got this weird thing that happens, we jump in the car and go for a drive so they can show it to us, and then we know what we're chasing. And then we'll mention all the other things that we felt that are wrong that they don't even know about. So anyway, thanks for the call, Brian. 602-277-5827. Let's go with Jeff. He's got a 2003 Ford Expedition. How can we help you, Jeff? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hey, guys. My Expedition, I've got a small crack in the filler neck of the gas tank. And so it's not, I guess you have to have a vacuum there so it's not getting the proper vacuum. The problem is Ford does not manufacture this gas tank anymore, and I can't find it anywhere. So 2 questions. First one is, do you know where I might be able to find a new tank? And then secondly, if we can't find a new tank, how do we repair it?
For sure. I think we can help
Do you know if that's a plastic fuel tank in that model?
It is plastic, yes.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of companies, or there's a couple that make aftermarket fuel tanks. He said the filler neck. The filler neck is not necessarily part of the fuel tank. So, maybe it's a good idea, Jeff. I don't know if you're doing that repair yourself. If you take it to a shop, the shop has the resources, and we'll find
a tank, whether it be a used tank, whether we plastic weld that tank, because that tank could probably be repaired. Yeah. In some situations, that's what we've had to do and this makes me mad about Ford. Come on, still make a gas tank for that thing. It's only an 03. You know how many of these things are on the road?
Yeah.
Anyway,
a lot.
I'm just getting tired of Ford not having parts for a perfectly good car.
We had one not too long ago that this guy came in with a fuel leak. There's a half-inch size perfect hole in the side of the gas tank. Someone just went in the wheel well with a drill instead of siphoning it. They just drilled a hole in the side of the gas tank and siphoned it right there.
Saved me a lot of time.
It was a $2,000 gas tank, though.
Oh, man.
But we did have to go with the used one. It took 5 fuel tanks to get the right one. Mm-hmm. There's sometimes it has dual tanks. Sometimes it depends on how many gallon the tank is. So sometimes it can be a challenge. So when you're looking, always have your VIN number.
Yeah, well, I had an excursion that I couldn't get a tank for, and I went through this thing. So anyhow, when we come back, we're taking more phone calls at 602-277-5827. You're listening to Matt and Dave, your KTAR Car Guys on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hi, I'm Dave Riccio, owner of Tri-City Transmission. Well, you may have come to know us for being a transmission expert. What you may not know is that our customers regularly ask us why we don't perform repairs to the rest of the vehicle. You guys are so great. Why work on just the transmission? Well, the requests became hard to ignore, and 3 years ago, we began to build an infrastructure to perform general automotive repair. We weren't going to do general repair if we couldn't be great at it. So in 2013, we began the soft opening of Tri-City Auto Repair on Smith Road. We brought on ASE Master Technicians to work side by side with our Master Transmission Technicians. The combination of the best in both of these trades has created a synergy that allows us not only to fix your transmission, but to service and repair your whole car, and to do it well. Let's face it, the modern car has become so integrated. We believe all of our expert knowledge puts us ahead of the curve. Find us at TriCityTransmission.com or TempeAutoRepairShop.com. That's TempeAutoRepairShop.com.
It sounds like they've just had the accurate automotive experience. We're family-owned and operated and have served the Mesa, Tempe, Gilbert communities for over 22 years. We focus on building long-lasting relationships and, listening to you so that we can understand, meet, and exceed your expectations. One location, 14 bays, 88 years of automotive expertise, and a passionate commitment to customer service and excellence. My name is Lee Weatherby, and I approve this message because it's true. We love what we do, and we want to do it for you. Accurate Automotive, the home of friends serving friends.
The Bunker to Bunker Golf Tournament season is back, and we invite you to join us for our very special season opening Cinco de Mayo event at the iconic Mountain Shadows Resort and Short Course. Saturday, May 5th, our famous two-man scramble returns to support Phoenix Children's Hospital with a fantastic day of breakfast, golf, and prizes, followed by a Cinco de Mayo pig roast party. There's even a bounce-back coupon for another golf round included, all for just $99. Space is limited, so grab your partner and register today at bunkergolf.com.
Arizona's news station, KTAR News, on 92.3 FM, KTAR.com, and streaming live on the KTAR News app. Arizona's news station. KTAR. On air, 92.3 FM. Online at KTAR.com. And streaming live on the KTAR News app. Your breaking news and traffic. Now.
KTAR News Time is 11:30. Good morning, I'm Mark Carlson. Thousands are gathered in Houston for former First Lady Barbara Bush's celebration of life. Mrs. Bush will be laid to rest later today at the Bush Library. Here's ABC News with the latest.
The body of former First Lady Barbara Bush is making its way to College Station, Texas, where she'll be laid to rest later today. ABC's Jim Ryan's in Houston.
Admirers of Barbara Bush have mapped out the route that the hearse carrying Mrs. Bush's remains will follow as it makes its way to the tiny family cemetery and her husband's presidential library in College Station. People who were unable to participate in Friday's public viewing or were not among the 1,500 invited to the funeral will park alongside roadways and stand on overpasses as the hearse and the motorcade go by. A final tribute to a former First Lady many people felt they knew personally. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Houston.
Earlier today, more than 1,000 people attended the funeral services for Mrs. Bush. Presidential historian and family friend John Meacham remarked on her passion for one issue in particular, literacy.
She believed literacy a fundamental civil and human right and gave the cause her all.
Celebrating Barbara Bush, Daria Albinger, ABC News.
Traffic and weather now. Here's Patrick Rohde in the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center.
Hey there, Mark. We still have that crash working downtown Phoenix on the Loop 101 westbound 7th Avenue, I should say. That crash is off right. In Mesa, new collision McKellips Road east of the Loop 202 Red Mountain Freeway. And new crash in Tempe working on Rio Salado Parkway east of McClintock Drive. This report is brought by Crossroads of the West, America's largest producers of gun shows. Crossroads returns this weekend to the fairgrounds. Great deals on guns, ammo, accessories, and you can buy, sell, and trade. I'm Patrick Rohde, KTAR News.
KTAR weather for the Valley today. Sunny skies with a high of 90 tonight, mostly clear with a low of 67. We have 77 degrees currently in Apache Junction. Weather is brought to you by Howard Air. Weather replace or repair? Call Howard Air. I'm Mark Carlson on Arizona's news station, KTAR News.
Trust. It's hard to earn and sometimes even harder to find. If you live or work in downtown Phoenix, Matt Allen's Virginia Auto Service is celebrating over 20 years of award-winning service at the corner of 7th Street and Virginia. Recognized as one of the best service shops in the country, their customers have come to trust Virginia Auto Service for its A-plus rating by the BBB, 2-year 24,000-mile warranties, and free transportation to and from your home or office. 20-plus years of earning your trust. Virginia Auto Service. They're serious about service.
The Bunker to Bunker golf tournament season is back, and we invite you to join us for our very special season opening Cinco de Mayo event at the iconic Mountain Shadows Resort and Short Course. Saturday, May 5th, our famous two-man scramble returns to support Phoenix Children's Hospital with a fantastic day of breakfast, golf, and prizes, followed by a Cinco de Mayo pig roast party. There's even a bounce-back coupon for another golf round included, all for just $99. Space is limited, so grab your partner and register today at bunkergolf.com.
Having an accident is stressful. Dealing with the repair process shouldn't be. Hi, Leo Petrozella for Campus Body Salon. We've taken the stress out of collision repair since 1973, and here's a couple of tips to de-stress your repair. Make your own choice. Some insurance companies try to convince you that you must use their approved shop for your repair. Not true. Arizona state law allows you to choose the facility that's right for you. Beware of the cheapest estimate. Typically, it's the one from the insurance company cutting corners to trim costs or focusing on appearance only. At Campus Body Salon, appearance is important, but structural integrity and safety are even more critical. Campus Body Salon, independent, family-owned and operated, and bumper-to-bumper radio approved. Check out our Cash for Your Crash program where we pay you 10% off of your repair up to $1,000. Campus Body Salon, the best care in collision repair.
This is Bumper to Bumper Radio, KTAR News on 92.3 FM.
Welcome back to Bumper Radio. I'm Dave Riccio here along with Matt Allen. We're here to help you with your car. We've got Butch on the line. We've got Steven on the line, Barbara, and a couple more open lines at 602-277-5600. 5827, 602-277-KTAR. And I want to take a minute to mention Bumper to Bumper Radio, what it's about. It's a show to help you know normal expectations, what's normal for auto repair, what you can expect. We want to relieve some of that anxiety. The other thing that Bumper to Bumper Radio is there's a network of shops that support this show that have a lot of similar philosophies of Matt and myself. And I get emails at bumpertobumperradio.com that say, hey, I'm in Mesa. Where should I go? I need a shop to go to. And, of course, they're on that website where there's a shop they can pick. But, you know what? It seems like there's been a lot of Mesa stuff lately.
We've been getting a ton of phone calls from the East Valley. So we do have at Bumper to Bumper Radio a lot, whether you're in the East Valley or anywhere, but specifically we want to talk about the East Valley today, lots of resources for you.
Well, Accurate Automotive is a shop that I'm more than happy to refer you to. If you are looking for a personal referral, you can send us an email, somebody get back to you. But if not, just go to the website, Accurate Automotive. You might hear their ads on here, Friends Serving Friends. They've been around forever. Lee does a great job. He's got a great team. So if you're looking for a great shop, if you got a great shop, then this conversation doesn't really fit for you, you know.
Yeah,
but,
well, exactly. No sense in shopping.
Yeah, we don't want to be home wreckers here. But if you need a good home, Accurate Automotive if you're in Mesa.
Yeah,
So.
you know what? And Lee has been with us since day one, before day one. If you want to call him a charter, as a lot of the bumper-to-bumper shops, and you never hear anything bad.
I love the level of excitement from Lee. He's passionate. He's passionate about his business. You know, he's passionate about his customers. When I go in there, he's talking about his customers and what he's doing for them. And, you know, his wife is she does a great job.
It's a family business, and that's what you're going to find across the board here. It's not investor-owned. We're people that run these shops. We work. We live in the neighborhood. Our kids go to school with your kids. We run into you at the grocery store, and that's what it's all about, community.
For sure. Well, let's go with Butch. He's got a 2013, looks like Dodge Ram pickup. How can we help you, Butch? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
I've had it for a number of years, 5 years, I guess, and the key fobs, the electronic keys, lock the doors, all that stuff, started acting a little weird. I'd be sitting watching TV and my horn would toot like the door locked and that sort of thing. So I put that one away, started using the wife's. A week later, her started doing the same thing. Took it down to the local Dodge dealer, Earnhardt's, where I bought it. They told me it's not uncommon for them to wear out and that the module that controls them wasn't working correctly and should be replaced also. $1,300 is a little more money than I'm going to spend. Any suggestions?
And you don't have any aftermarket alarms on that car at all?
No, not that I'm familiar with. No.
Okay, and I just asked that because sometimes those things will mess with
factory alarm. Yeah.
Factory alarm.
I've had cars for several years, much longer than 5 years, and never really had any problems with the key fobs.
Yeah, I haven't run into that too much either, but I guess it could be very possible. It needs a module.
Yeah, I mean they need batteries occasionally, so I wouldn't have originally thought to go with a key fob first because what you're saying is it's just intermittently acting up.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the fob itself sending a signal. I don't. $1,300 is probably the right amount. I don't think that's something you're going to find used, although it's possible. Savings not going to be that much because it probably still has to be programmed and learned to the car. But you may really think about doing it without replacing the two fobs, and I think you probably
and ask the question. I mean, I always ask, how sure are you on this thing? Because that computer stuff gets a little weird. When you got to go, hey, everything points to bad computer. So we're going there next, but. Make sure that's kind of the end of the road, and sometimes they can't give you a promise that that's the end of the road, and that's reasonable as long as we agree whose money we're gambling with at the beginning.
Yeah, and the dealer, by the way, isn't the only one that can do that. All you have to do is have the right tools. I know my shop has it. Dave's Car Care over in one of the bumper-to-bumper shops in Glendale. Larry Harker's has the factory, and probably many others do, but the factory Chrysler scan tool. And sometimes Chrysler is one of the ones that they have a lot of updates. I'm not saying that would fix the car, but I'm even thinking about that. I did a little research on that Chrysler 300 that the gentleman called in with that jolt problem. There was a couple software updates. I'm not saying that's going to fix the problem,
right?
But you got to make sure that the things that are there are right before you go down the next step of the process of diagnosing.
For sure. Thanks for the call, Butch. 602-277-5827. We're going to go with Barbara. She's got a 2007 Saturn. Hey, Barbara, welcome to Bumper. How can we help you today?
Well, my car has less than 29,000 500 miles. I went in for an oil change, and they ended up selling me a battery. And then when I left the garage, I went for the emissions test. So I flunked the emissions test.
Yep.
Okay, now, he told me I don't have to go back to the garage just to drive it. But I have two questions. How many miles do I have to drive before I go back? And the other question is, do I have to drive fast to get the carbon out, or just regular driving?
There's a couple things. It doesn't necessarily have to do with speed, and it's not necessarily in correlation with distance. You do need to make sure that you have about 3/4 of a tank of gas. That's for one of the evaporative monitors to run. And then you need to drive some various conditions. So if you are maybe a couple miles from a freeway, hopefully, you want to just get up, drive the car slow, just your normal, drive it, not heavy acceleration, drive to get on the freeway, and you're going to need about 4 or 5 miles on the freeway. We've got to get the car up to operating temperature. And then the next thing we need to do is when you accelerate, that's when the EGR valve works, if this car has an EGR valve. That's also going to exercise, if you will, the catalytic converter. So once you get on the freeway, you might want to vary your speed from, say, 55 up to 70 or so, and then slow down, then back up and back down, and just slightly vary that for a few miles. Excuse me. And then that should, after one of those drives, that should get you ready for the test.
And Barbara, one of the things we do, because when we do work on somebody's car and we realize their tags are expired and they got to leave our shop and go straight to emissions, we say, don't bother. A lot of times we'll drive it for them to see if we can get those monitors to reset so it'll pass emissions, and sometimes we'll take it down to emissions for them. But we tell people if they don't have time for all that, we say go run around. If you want to swing back by here, it just takes us 2 seconds to plug into it to make sure all those tests have run, so you know, hey, when I go down there, everything's going to be fine.
Yeah,
so.
And you might call your shop, Barbara, and say, hey, you guys replaced that battery. I failed my emissions test. I've driven it around. Can I swing by? And what they want to do is they want to check the monitors. And the monitors have not run, and they can tell you before you go down and wait in line.
For sure. We're going to go with Steven. He's got a 2012 Volkswagen Tiguan. How can we help you, Steven? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Fantastic.
A little coffee
Good.
today. But...
Hey, I've got a 2012. I drive about 20,000 miles a year. It has 130,000 miles on it. The car runs great, rock solid. My buddy's recommending that, hey, at some point you're going to need to change the timing belt. And I've heard another friend say you've got a timing chain, and I'm trying to figure out which one it is. And do I need to replace a chain or a belt? What's your best recommendation?
It's very interesting. There's a lot of cars that you would think have a timing belt and they don't, and they have a chain. Some cars have a belt and a chain because they have a belt drives one camshaft, and then the camshaft uses a chain to drive the other one. So you need to look it up. I would go to your owner's manual, might be the first thing, and look for the spec. The other thing, you can go to a parts catalog and just look up and see if it has a timing belt. And it may not have one. If it does, I think on the Tiguan, I think the Volkswagen Audi kind of recommendation is at 105,000 miles or so. That would be the area. As far as the timing chain, you never need to replace the timing chain unless it fails. The key to that is change the oil every 5,000 miles.
Now we did a transmission repair / timing cover repair on a what was this car that we had, a Buick Enclave, and it had about 120,000 miles on it. And we're looking at it, we get the valve covers off and everything. There's just some weird wear on some of the camshaft lobes. The guy wasn't using the oil they needed to use in the motor. So we said, hey, you've been neglecting your car a little bit. I know we've been doing the cheaper oil changes, but we got to start using good oil in this car. So, that oil thing came up. I wanted to make a point of that. Just because you think you're getting the cheapo $19 oil change, when the shop that's doing the right thing needs $60 or $70 or $80, you want to put the right oil in your car. Yeah. It is so crucial the way these engines are built anymore that you don't skimp out on the oil. And I did want to get to an email of the week because this comes up quite a bit. We had a gal that emailed us. She's got a car that's only got roughly, it's a Toyota, it's only got roughly 30,000 miles on it. Maybe the car's about 10 years old. And she sent an email to Bumper to Bumper Radio, 07 Toyota Corolla, which she purchased new. I do very little driving and now have approximately 30,000 miles. Is it necessary to do these flushes? So she was in and someone said they needed a transmission flush and a power steering flush. Matt, any ideas?
there's not enough information.
Mm-hmm.
Part of me says yes, and a lot of me, without knowing, says no.
Mm-hmm.
Look how she drives the car.
Barely.
Barely. 30,000 miles. The power steering fluid's probably still good. What was the other one? The
transmission.
Transmission. Yeah, transmission needs to be serviced. I don't know that the, quote, flush is the right thing to do. 2007, 30,000 miles. Yeah, it makes sense to have the transmission serviced for sure. Power steering, I don't know. If you got an extra $150, flip a quarter in the air, and if it hits heads, heck with it, do it. If not, don't worry about it. It's not that big of a deal, but have the conversation.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth the conversation. And then this is going to be back to my theory. No bad service is worse than no service at all, right? Yeah. So if you're going to go get that transmission serviced, a couple things. You want to make sure they're using a factory fluid. I'm a huge proponent of factory fluid. That's a big deal because I see cars that come in and somebody used the wrong fluid in it, and now they got a symptom, and now they're at a transmission shop going, why do I get a symptom? Well, who serviced this thing last time? So, and we start asking those questions. So,
put the right fluid in, it mysteriously fixes the car.
It's amazing what happens. So, anyhow, when we come back, we're finishing up with phone calls. We've got Greg, Linda, and Mark, and we'll be right back.
Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic. If your car hurts, take it to Kurt's.
That's our closing line, Pops.
I know, Jeff. Just reinforcing that we're full-service auto repair.
At Kurt's Auto Repair, we do it all, including diesel. We have the passion, training, equipment, and expertise for diesel. Our techs are ASE certified for diesel and advanced diesel diagnostics. Toy hauling, horse trailering, off-roading, or work trucking, we've got you covered.
Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic. If your car hurts, take it to Kurt's. Check us out at mycarhurts.com.
Hi, I'm Kurt Morgan, owner of Shadow Mountain Auto Service in Phoenix. I'm also a college automotive instructor, and I've been a technician for over 30 years. In that time, I've seen all kinds of games and gimmicks in the auto repair business, the worst of which seems to be associated with transmissions. I think it's because, to most, including technicians, the inside of a transmission is a mystery. So when one of our valued customers has a transmission problem, we send them straight to Tri-City Transmission. No games, no gimmicks. That's Tri-City Transmission.
Ouch! Being out of tune is no fun, and maybe even a little painful. Hi, this is Lee Weatherby, owner of Accurate Automotive in Mesa. At Accurate, we are a family-owned and operated one-stop automotive repair shop that specializes in building long-term relationships that are in tune with your needs, not ours. We've been recognized nationally as one of the top shops in the country, but for over 20 years, our priority has stayed focused on providing quality automotive service and repair at a fair price. I invite you to come in and see the difference an in-tune relationship can make for you and your car. With our free courtesy inspection, a $49 value, we feel it is well worth our investment in you because we believe good long-term relationships start early with your first walk through our doors. Accurate Automotive, home of friends serving friends, just off Broadway and Robson in Mesa since 1992. For more information, check us out online at accurateautomotiveaz.com today.
Can you trust here in the Valley to repair your ride? This is Bumper to Bumper Radio, KTAR News on 92.3 FM.
All righty, Dave, we are ready to go. We got about 10 more minutes left, helping you folks with your car. We appreciate everybody tuning in to Bumper Radio every single Saturday at 11 o'clock. I'm Matt Allen. Dave Riccio here in his moist T-shirt.
If you're sitting at home and you wonder what the moist T-shirt is all about, it's that word that everyone just hates, I mean, you want your cake to be kind of moist, but it means something different when it's July and the air conditioner in your car doesn't work. It means something totally different. So moist, the word makes everybody cringe. So I had a T-shirt made up, and it just has the word moist on it.
What was the other one that says, I do awkward?
Yeah. I make custom T-shirts all the time because I'm like, that would be the perfect T-shirt. No one gets as excited about it as I do. My wife, she laughs at me. She's like, you crack yourself up. And I'm like, I do. Easily amused, never bored. I'm always in good shape. So anyway.
Exactly so.
Let's go with Linda. She's got a 2011 Chevrolet Camaro with a manual transmission. How can we help you, Linda? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Yes, hey. My coolant in my car was running low. I mean, one day I was driving it and it overheated. So then I found out that the reservoir tank was empty, completely empty, but the radiator was full. Okay. So my husband and I, we put in like almost a gallon of coolant, probably within a couple weeks. So, anyways, I found out that it might be the water pump, and I heard that replacing the water pump could be pretty kind of a detailed job, a pretty long job. Is that right?
Could be. Depends on the car. Sure.
Yeah, a Camaro, I don't know off the top of my head, but I don't think it's an overly difficult water pump.
Depends if it's V6 or V8. There's a lot of variables, but I can tell you one thing that a water pump is. If you don't replace it and it's leaking, it's the one part that's going to ruin your car.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter how difficult it is to replace that water pump, if it is leaking and your car overheats, it'll go from maybe a $900 repair to a $4,000 repair, Linda. So really the thing I think you need to do is we need to find out what the problem is. I'm not quite sure how did you come to believe you think it was the water pump?
Well, somebody at the dealership said he thought it was a water pump. He thought it was the water pump, and then I don't know. He said it was like a 3-hour. It was a pretty good job because you can't get to the. It was kind of difficult to get to the water pump.
Yeah.
He said it's not. So, anyways, but he quoted me like probably around $900.
I think Matt just said a number.
I just guessed $900 off the top of my head.
I know.
Linda, what part of town are you in?
In Goodyear.
Okay.
Oh, S&S Tire.
There's S&S Tire. I don't know if you live anywhere or work separate from where you live, but go to bumpertobumperradio.com. If you're not happy with the dealership, definitely do this. If you're happy with where you're going, I think maybe your hang-up was the $900 job, but it seems to be appropriate. But what you want to do is you want to find somebody that's going to do a cooling system pressure test. Maybe I pick up on words a little bit too much. I think it's the water pump. I tell my guys, don't think. Tell me. I don't want you to think.
Right.
Is it the water pump or is it not the water pump? It might say, well, I think I'll pay if I come pick it up. Maybe if you think it's the water pump. So let's do a pressure test.
So my question was, if it is the water pump, I mean, the original price is about $900.
Seems to be. That was my wild guess off the top of my head. And then the other thing, Linda, while you're in there, now we talk about the what else.
Yeah.
What else do we do with the water pump?
We talked about hoses earlier, and usually the lower hose plugs right into the water pump.
On this type of car. So on this 2011 car, let's just say it's got 85,000 miles on it or something, I may or may not recommend replacing I wouldn't probably recommend the hoses by themselves, but now we have them coupled with a symptom. We had a car that ran hot, it was low on coolant, and we're going to replace the water pump. So I'm not just replacing the water pump, Linda. I want to talk about the thermostat. It's already 7 years old. It's probably not going to last 7 more. Now's the time to do it. Let's put a new radiator cap on there. Let's flush out the system. And then let's entertain possibly replacing the upper and the lower radiator hose because chances are at least they have to come halfway off. Now we've gone from just fixing the car to doing a proactive, proper repair that's going to last a long time.
Good luck with that, Linda. Thanks for the call. We're going to go with Greg. He's got a 2002 Chevy Avalanche. How can we help you, Greg? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Thanks for taking my call. I have a 2002 Chevy Avalanche with a check engine light that came on a few months ago. I can't get it to pass emissions. I took it into a service station. They said it was a catalytic converter. Something about bank B sensor is failing. Going to be about $2,000. I was hoping you guys had a better solution for me. Any ideas?
Oh, the old catalytic converters are expensive, and there is less expensive catalytic converters. And what's in a catalytic converter is precious metals that they use to make a catalyst, which is a chemical reaction without adding or subtracting anything. So that's what happens in a catalytic converter. And you can save money. There's cut-in and weld-in types. But if you really can buy, a General Motors catalytic converter, and they don't make Avalanches anymore, so you're gonna have this car for a long time. I say put a good cat on it.
Yeah, it's 16 years old though. I mean, it depends on how tight the budget is. You got to get to emissions. You're gonna wind up with a ticket, or they're gonna impound the car. You get so you factor in what that costs. Just go spend that money.
Right.
Hey, maybe you got to get an aftermarket catalytic converter. You go to an exhaust shop where they'll weld one in, and it may get you by, but you just have to go into that knowing that
you may do it again.
Yeah,
you're
going to do it again. You may have to do something different. And again, ask them. Maybe they're replacing both the oxygen sensors. Yeah, it's great to do, but if you're on a tight budget, maybe you don't really need to. Ask them if there's a way to trim that repair down some.
Hey, thanks for the call, Greg. We're going to go with Mark on a 1999 Honda Accord. How can we help you, Mark? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hey, fellas. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
So we have a 99 Honda Accord with 238,000 miles on it. It's automatic transmission. Recently, when you would come to a stop, it would act as if it was low on transmission fluid, and every time you come to a stop, the RPMs would go up, and it would clunk into gear. We decided to put a Japanese engine and transmission assembly into it, and I have the same exact problem. I have a hard time believing that another transmission would be having the same exact problem. Do you have any ideas?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I do have people that, we get phone calls all the time. How much for a transmission? Okay, they want to know that because they've already diagnosed that they need a transmission. I don't know how many cars come into my shop where they go, well, it's got 230,000 miles on it, so it's realistic that it probably needs a transmission. Yeah, well, it may very well need that, but if we don't find out actually what's causing the problem, now we're here in a situation where we got another transmission in there and we got the same issue. So it needs to be diagnosed. And I doubt, if it literally is the same symptom, sometimes people can't differentiate between symptoms, but if it is in fact the same symptom, yeah, we didn't, we took care of the transmission, but we didn't address the throttle position sensor or the speed sensor or whatever it may be, software programming computer that could be causing the symptom that we have. So that's what needs to happen is it needs to be diagnosed, but I wouldn't just go pitch another transmission at it for sure.
Well, yeah, and it's funny though, you think, I can't imagine have the same problem. Well, why does the right headlight burn out when the left headlight burns out? I mean, they are the same. Right? It's completely plausible that would have the same problem. But again, Dave, you always talk about there's a transmission and then there's the controls. The transmission only does what it's told to do. So if it's getting bad information like this, maybe the throttle position sensor's out of adjustment. So you come to the stop and the car's going, wait a minute, we're not moving.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like this guy's got his foot on the gas, but he's also got it on the brake too. What's going on? It doesn't know how to act, and bam, it causes a weird shift or something to happen.
And if you Google Hondas in 99, you're going to find nothing but transmission problems. You know what's interesting about that? That's only on the V6s. He didn't say if he had a 4-cylinder V6, but some of these 4-cylinder Honda Accord transmissions go forever, and we're almost never replacing them. So anyway, it's always good to get the car diagnosed. I know we talked about diagnostic last week, and sometimes we're putting the cart ahead of the horse when we just, go ahead and put an engine and transmission in there. Could have been cheap. But that's the thing about the cars. You can love a car. I mean, he's putting a motor in 225,000 miles. They will serve you a long time. Just take care of your vehicle. And I actually, it's like I take it personal when people abuse cars. And I get a little bit emotional about it. So anyhow, thanks for joining us. Remember not to text and drive from all the shops at Bumper to Bumper Radio. Have a great weekend.